Okay, my friends, pleasant good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago, and those of you who are locked on to our program, Hard Facts. That is aired Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, starting time 12:15 in the afternoon. My friends, I am your host, Imam Rashid Karim, my co-host, Mr. Premchand Baldev. We are here live in studio, and we are here, my friends, identifying the anomalies, the challenges, the hardship, the ease that many of you are plagued with on a daily basis. And you notice I introduced another word there. I said the ease, because I tell you something, while many or the multitude of our citizens are suffering in this country, there are a group of people who are at ease and enjoying the spoils and the bounties of our country. So my friends, today, Trinidad and Tobago, we are in a heated period in the history. That is the period where election is on the air, in the airwaves, it is in the communities, it is in the villages, it is in the towns, it is in the lips of most of our citizens at this present time. People are contemplating. They want to know exactly who am I going to vote for. And that is I have a business here, and I tell you something, majority of the individuals who came to me thus far for the morning, they are asking the very, very same question, Imam, who should we vote for? And that's a question that many, many persons are asking the general populace. And people are saying that, after 10 years of going through this, and, we need a break. That is the wisdom behind the conversation that people are really and truly having at this point in time. But I want to let you all know, Trinidad and Tobago, there's many hurdles. There's many obstacles, there's many impediments on the way, maybe for victory or for change to come in our country, Trinidad and Tobago. So again, my friends, those of you who are locked on, it is very, very important now that we identify with the anomalies, challenges that is taking place presently in our daily routine. So again, my friends, it is very, very important that we understand clearly what is happening in our society. What is happening in our country at this point in time, my friends, is really and truly, some individuals might say it is negligence on the opposition pathway. And that is what many people have been saying to me. Imam, if we had, and I've been real here, whatever conversation that has taken place on this program here, Hard Facts, we are not really and truly biased against any political entity in our country. That's the reason why we have been asking, and we continue to ask those persons who are competing, those persons who are vying, those persons who are going up for integral position, whether it be in any political party, right? You can feel free to call us. The number in studio here, you can call us. And my friends, 372-2129, call us and let us know what do you think that should be happening at this present time in our country. We have been listening. I'll tell you something, Mr. Premchand Baldev, myself, we have been listening. We have been identifying with John Public outside there. And a lot of things really and truly is being said. So today in our program, we are going to dissect. There's a lot of things that we want to talk about. But again, my friends, we want to invite you all, those of you who are locked on, share this video and call us at 372-2129 and let us know what is going on. And I tell you something, don't shoot the messenger, right? Don't shoot the messenger. Either you take the message or you leave the message. And that is what we are all about here on this program, Hard Facts. Prim, welcome to the program.
Because the messenger will come back another day.
Yes.
Yes. So my friends, welcome to the program Hard Facts, viewed on Sentinel Media Live Broadcasting. We are here with you Mondays, Wednesdays and Saturdays from approximately 12:15 p.m. bringing you current issues that is happening in Trinidad and Tobago, that has happened in Trinidad and Tobago and may happen in the near future. And you know, issues that are really happening within the Caribbean and, you know, the world at large. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Reverend Imam, Imam Rashid Karim, for having me here once again. And you know, we just completed the holy month of Ramadan fast, and I said we because I'm included in that also. And I want to really thank our Imam here for having me in his masjid. You know, I kept a lot of rosas and I went there and I had iftar, which is the breaking of the fast and that sort of thing. And presently we Hindus, we are into the holy period of Navratri. You know, it coincides with the ending of Ramadan. So our Hindu brothers and sisters, we are fasting. And you know, we go straight into Ram Navami, which is Saturday, and then to Hanuman Jayanti, the other Saturday. So it's a continuation of the fast, Imam, right? Because I know in Islam there's a 6 days additional fasting, you know. So my friends, that being said and done, a lot has happened within the past month, the holy month of Ramadan, when we were out of studio because of the holy month and our fast and that sort of thing, right? We saw a prime minister resigning. We saw another person being sworn in as prime minister, selected, not elected. We saw the reshuffling of the cabinet, and we saw the reshuffling of key ministerial positions within the government. And that is within the purview of the new prime minister. Exactly. He has that right.
Exactly.
You know, he has that right. He has that authority and power that is vested in him. So to the new prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, hats off to you, sir. Prime Minister Stuart Young, that's his name. We congratulate you. We here on Sentinel Media Broadcast, we congratulate you on your new appointment as Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, we also saw the stepping down, or should I say the resignation, of a top brass in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in the personality of Roger Alexander. And he has now he found footings on the platform of the United National Congress. That is a major event that took place within the last month. We also saw other political parties popping up, and some of them joining with the opposition, the United National Congress, to form what is called a coalition. Now, history would have it that a coalition in this country does not work, cannot work, and may not work. I did not say will not, may not work. So that is yet to be seen. We also saw the withdrawing of the candidacy of MP Dinesh Rambali, the former MP for Shawana's constituency, right? MP Dinesh Rambali chose to withdraw his candidacy from the United National Congress with the upcoming general elections. He no longer wishes to contest Shawana's seat. One of these good days, we will have MP Dinesh Rambali on the sets of Sentinel Media Broadcasting to give us some insight into his decision. All right? Now, my friends, as the Imam said in his opening remarks, the Trinidad and Tobago is hot politically. The campaign trail has started. You will begin to see politicians who were invisible for the past 5 years, who were in hibernation, who were in their high towers, from both sides of the political fence. You could not get them at all. Now they are coming to your gateway and they are calling and they are kissing children and kissing dog and rocking your gate and pressing your doorbell and want to hug grandma who they never give and they never fought for a raise in pension. And I'm speaking of both sides. The government didn't see it fit to give them a raise, and the opposition did not see it fit to fight for them to get a raise. Now they are promising, honey and milk for our pensioners. And they are coming out of their political crevices. The big question is here, as the Imam said, and I'm going to reiterate on that. You are asking us, a lot of information is out there on social media. You know something, Imam? I was reading a book called The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, A History of Nazi Germany. I understand that book was banned in the Caribbean some maybe 100 years ago. It dealt with Adolf Hitler when he was having war, when the Nazis were at war. And you know what Adolf Hitler said in that book, Imam? He said, even though I am winning the war in the battlefield, I am losing it in the pages of the Daily Express. So too is the power of social media. Social media is a powerful weapon and is a dangerous weapon, people.
Exactly.
Not everything you see or you hear in social media is to believe. Not everything you see on YouTube, you should believe it. Now let me continue. Some of the questions when people of both sides of the political fence come to you and they are trying to solicit your franchise. They want to get your index finger, your vote, staying against at their name. These are some of the questions you should ask. On both sides. Ask yourself this question. Am I safer in Trinidad and Tobago? Have my grocery bill reduced or remained the same? Am I satisfied with the representation that I got and the representation that I'm about to receive? Am I receiving proper health care? And if not, why didn't the opposing parties in Parliament, advocate for that? Have I saved any money within the last year? Are there jobs available for my children and grandchildren? Am I satisfied with the leaders of both political parties? Am I fearful of my future? These are some of the questions that you should ask. So let me hand over to the Imam now.
Right. Okay, so thank you very much, Prem. Again, Prem normally do an intro, but again, we have to re-segmentize in the sense that we want to identify the relevant issues that is taking place right now in our country, right? People are asking the question, and this question here is, as Prem mentioned, 5 or 6 questions that is most relevant. What can they give you? What can they do for you? Now, I tell you something. When we look at the past track record of the PNM, and I tell you something, you know something? You always have to remember your action will haunt you one day to come. Whether it be good, whether it's bad, whether it's ugly, your actions are going to haunt you one day to come. When we look at the Stuart Young issue, when it comes to the bullying of a student 33 years ago, imagine that 33 years ago, an incident occurred in a classroom.
So it pop up?
And let me tell you something. 33 years later, when he became a prime minister, that popped up.
Not as a minister, Imam.
A prime minister.
Stuart Young was a minister for the past 9-10 years.
Yeah.
But when he assumed the position of prime minister,
and I tell you something, Prem Chan, what we had to do here, we have to really and truly segmentize and understand the program and understand how we can be able to disseminate properly. Very, very importantly is that after that issue have risen, we on this program, this is a platform, this is a universal platform that we had, been established here on Sentinel Media Broadcasting. I mentioned this to you all, those of you who are locked on. I said that any government, and I'm going to reiterate again, any government, and I want the director to pull that video and make a TikTok on that. Any government that, abolish or repeal that draconian property tax is going to be the next government. It is going to be the next government of the day in this country, Trinidad and Tobago. Right? Now, I tell you something. That is something that we said on our program. Now, I noticed this. I noticed this, that the opposition leader at this point in time using that as one of her, you want to call it, sweetbread issues that would be able to woo the voters back to the United National Congress. Correct is right. Nothing is wrong. Go ahead and use it. But remember, political leader of the United National Congress in 2010, 2015, and that is the time you used Axe the Tax and you came into power, and you, as the opposition before and the government then, Prime Minister then, you did not repeal, or you did not abolish, or you did not put any proclamation in place that this tax cannot and should not be reintroduced. Because when we look at what is happening in our country, Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time, you're going to hear everything from both sides. And I tell you something, when you look at these smaller parties, I tell you something, those smaller parties really and truly is irrelevant. It is really irrelevant to bring in governance to this country, Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe they could mount the platform with another party like what we are seeing, coalition of interest. Right? Coalition of interest. Just like NAR, National Alliance for Reconstruction. And how long did it last? And how long will this coalition last? Knowing for a fact, and I am sure that the opposition leader of the United National Congress, she already has a plan B. She already have a plan B. Because let me tell you something, I am a local, when it comes, a local schooled political analysis. And I could tell you exactly what is going to transcend, what is going to happen. What is going to happen? When we look, people are saying this and people are complaining, Imam, you know, we know where you stand. It seems as though they feel that the Imam allegiance is elsewhere. I don't know where they get that impression from. Let them get the impression. I don't really care. Because a certain member of parliament said that we know where the Imam allegiance is. Now, I trying to figure out if she know more than me. That individual knows more than me. But my friends, again, Trinidad and Tobago, we have to be very, very mindful of promises that is going to be made during this election period. And then afterwards, we saw that in local government, via the councillors. They will do this and they will do that and they will do the next. And you know what? The excuse is that we are not in government and we cannot do nothing. And the opposition have used that, my friends, for the past many years, 10 years, we are in opposition.
And getting away with it.
And we cannot do nothing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If you have a strong opposition, the government of the day could not do what they had done. And, those of you who are in disagreement with me, feel free. That's your thing. That's your take. But I'm telling you, if you had a vociferous, you had an opposition that was able to attack the government of the day, at this present time, we could have not been in this position. So when people come across to me and say, Imam, you know, we had to support the United National Congress. Yes, you have to support the United National Congress. Nothing is wrong with that. And the one who is telling me that I have to support the PNM, the People National Movement, yes, that's your point. That's your discussion. You can do that. But again, my friends, Trinidad and Tobago, it is reeling from total hardship. And the country at this point is in disarray. But again, you look at the component, you look at the constituencies, you look at, you know, the tribalistic the component of our country, Trinidad and Tobago. I want you all to listen to what I'm saying. The United National Congress getting a nice momentum, which is good. I spoke to a guy this morning from Moruga Tableland, right? And I'm very, very pleased with his vision. And we're going to win there. We're going to win there by 30%. All those things is really good. It's really, really good. But again, my friends, will Tobago support the United National Congress? That is most important and relevant. And why they would not support the United National Congress, it is because of what? Because of tribalism and because of racism. And now is the time, within this framework, within this 27 days of politicking in our country, Trinidad and Tobago, you are going to see the race card like a joker being pelt right, left, and center. And you know what? People are going to fall for that. Prim.
Yes.
They are going to fall for that.
Well said, Imam. I agree totally with what you said. Now, Imam, there are many more issues with the build-up of the political campaign. How could you say you are in opposition? Now, I'm not attacking the UNC. This is a program where we discuss issues. How could you say when you are in opposition, you cannot do nothing? So then you are drawing money, you are drawing a salary, you are enjoying all the perks for doing nothing. Is that so?
And not only
you
that,
have power. You have power as the Let me ask a question here. Why is it in 9 years of hardships, as people would usually want to say, which is the talk of the town, so to speak, 9 years, and the United National Congress never called for a partial shutdown of this country, or a national shutdown of this country, or a national march? Why? Somebody answer that.
And I tell you something, we on this program, we have been lamenting, we have been calling, we have been asking, we have been begging, we have been pleading, and asking you all, right? We ask you all this question. We ask you, if you said that the PNM is doing this, this negative interaction with John Public outside there, when we look at the international domain, when we look at the regional domain, PNM is doing this and PNM is doing that, right? And the government, Dr. Keith Rowley is this and Dr. Keith Rowley is that. Okay, right. We acknowledge that because we are reeling from those hardships, just as you all. We are not living in New Zealand. We are living in Trinidad and Tobago. And I have said this, any government, and I'm going to reiterate this for the next 28 days on this program, Sentinel Media Broadcasting is challenging any and everyone, any persons of interest who are politically aligned, whether it be to any party, and they can ensure the citizens of this country that this draconian property tax is going to be removed. That group of individuals, whether it's coalition A, coalition B, coalition for interest or whatever, my friends, that political entity is going to win the government for Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, but Imam, that being said and done, right? Parliament has been dissolved,
Yeah.
So they can only say that in the political platform campaign trail.
No, that is where you sell your product. We are selling your product there at this point in time. You are going to sell your product, and the hard part about
But the thing about it, both sides are saying...
normally, right, when you are in cabinet, you could say anything and you have cabinet privilege.
Privileges, yes.
Right? I tell you something. Don't come and fool and mamagai the citizens of this country thinking that you have political platform privilege where you can say any and everything and make promises like crazy. And you know something, after you go into power, you start to go down when you really and truly open the books now and you realize that Trinidad and Tobago is bankrupt. How are we going to really and truly maintain and fulfill these promises? My friends, Trinidad and Tobago, you all, those of you who are listening, we are here to dissect the issues that is affecting us. We have a nasty, we have a dirty healthcare system. That's number one. Criminal elements, they have overridden our country when it comes to crime. We are in a state of emergency, a SOE. And when we look at the critical issues, we are seeing it is blatant that the criminal elements, they are in control of this country, Trinidad and Tobago. When we look at the infrastructure, we look at the amount of billions spent by this government this time and the previous government at that time, my friends, you're going to realize that something adverse is taking place in our country. And I tell you something, it leaves room for doubt, it leaves room for improvement, and that is what we are all about here on this program, Hard Facts. I am saying it again, anybody who could ensure that a man who work hard, who buy material, who paid VAT on material, who paid taxes on material, and paid from his salaries, and he built that sanctuary that he calls a home, and he can remain there. I tell you something, and he can remain there in his one lot of land, where he can be able to plant 2 root of tomato, 2 baigan, 2 pepper, and make his living and live in peace and harmony. That group of individuals who can fulfill that promise, they are going to get the support of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's take a break, Director.
So welcome back, friends, to our program Hardfacts on Sentinel Media Live Broadcasting. With me in studio is our Rabbi Imam, the Imam Rashid Karim. Our Imam friends, for those of you who are first-timers on this show, is the resident Imam of the Felicity Masjid, situated at Greenwich Road in Kakanj Road, Felicity. Our Imam is also the head of the IFST, which is the Islamic Funeral Services Trust. Again, it is housed in Felicity, and it is for all our Muslim brothers and sisters. And our Imam also is the CEO of Sentinel Media Broadcasting and the main host, so to speak. He's also a businessman in charge of the Felicity Island Express Hardware, where you can get all your building materials from foundation to finish, inclusive of ceiling material, electricals, plumbing, water tanks, water pumps, power tools, hand tools, sealing boards, and whatever. You come down to Island Express Hardware and ask to speak to our Reverend Imam, and you negotiate your prices. When I come to the hardware people, I negotiate my price. If I have to buy a pair of socks, I ask for a discount because I have studied something called POB, Principles of Business, and I know included in that price is a sum that can, if asked, be given to.
But I will tell you something, Mr. Premchand Baldev. That POB had to be in other establishment.
Okay.
Because I tell you something. Let me give you an example. Just now. Relax. Now, cement. I just tell you something. Cement. I tell you something. Cement right now. When you look at the cement industry, TCL Cement, the only company that really and truly manufactures cement in our country, the price of cement is $27.10 a bag. Prem, listen.
So, right here.
I want to tell you, so when $27.10, you have to pay money to transport it. We're talking about $28 a bag for cement. Not 28, $58, sorry. $58 per bag. And we are reselling that for $60 a bag. You're making $2. Prem, you expect me to give a discount in that, boy? You're a criminal. No.
You know when the customer asks you,
a criminal.
And they invoke the sentiment of compassion, you will give a
$1 discount.
So don't tell me
and I just work for nothing.
Yes, exactly.
Right? We just want Trinidad and Tobago to know what is going on in this country. You selling a bag of cement and make $2 profit. Right? That's what we call a loss leader. Loss leader. We just selling and we wasting time with it, but we have no choice. Because if you don't have cement, you don't have a hardware. Go ahead, Prince.
I said that on purpose to invoke the Imam's reaction, and I know he would have reacted the way he reacted. So we go again, all right? Now, my Trinidad and Tobago, our country is heating up with the political atmosphere. You see people from all walks of life, and they are making social media videos, and they are posting information there. That is your right. Social media is for that. Now, there are many things that we really need to ask ourselves. Crime. I really don't know what are the figures presently of the crime. I don't want to know because it is so disturbing, it is so sour, it is so sickening. However, that is one of the main issues in which political parties would campaign on. Crime, cost of living, and security in a country. Job security also, Imam. Because you see, in the political fray, once election time comes, you see all the trade union leaders, Imam. You don't know where they come from. And they form this conglomerate and excuse me, and they would sit at the head table and you hear how much they care and how much they this and how much they hate and how much they love this leader and how much they hate that leader and who is that. Where were you, trade union leaders, for the last 9 years? Why didn't you all plan a partial shutdown of this country, or a half-day shutdown, or call for a national shutdown, or a day of prayer and reflection? Why didn't you all do that? You know something? You all are headless chickens. Now, Imam, where crime is concerned, all the while, 600 murders, 540, 622 for the last 9 years. Not one crime symposium was called by the leader of the United National Congress. But tomorrow, election is 26 years away again. Tomorrow in Shogunas, they are calling for a crime symposium. What can you discuss when you had 9 years to discuss it and do something about it? Imam.
All right. Now, I'll tell you something. The political leader of the United National Congress, they are seasoned politicians, whether we like it or not. We might be junior politicians, but again, people like Kamla Prasad Bisesa, they climb, people will say they climb the corporate ladder, they climb the political ladder, right? from being a councillor and being this, that, the next minister, and up to prime minister, and even so much so we could say even president of the country, right? Because people aspire for all positions simply because of the title of honor, being an honorable person or having the title of being most honorable. Now tell us something, Trinidad and Tobago, you and I today, we have to understand what is it that we are benefiting when these people, whether it's trade unions, whether it is smaller political entities, knowing for a fact that they were individuals who created much turbulence for the United National Congress. These very said people you are seeing who are knocking glasses today and who are embracing and kissing each other, these very said people will advocate against Kamla Prasad Bisesa.
Even those in the coalition too, other parties.
And the question is, what is happening? You know, what pains me, and I want Trinidad and Tobago to understand this, right? The Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, you had a team of people. You had a team of people who contested a democratic process, right? And that democratic process would have been the internal elections.
Which is part of the United Nations Congress Constitution.
Right, and that was done. All said and all done. Why it is that the political leader could not have identified and brought these, why it is that we are seeing now, we are talking about not one single, not one, you know something,
out of the 5.
I would have expected maybe Rushton Parry, or maybe Anita Haynes. I know she might not even entertain Dinesh Rambali, but I tell you something, days are coming that, you know, all these people will embrace once again. Now, my friend Trinidad and Tobago, I would have expected the opposition leader maybe to bring one from medicine, one of these 5 people, to show Trinidad and Tobago that I am a bigger person. You know, people writing on Facebook, and they are writing on social media, you know, they had these fellas or these individuals who went up against Kamla Prasad Bisesa should apologize to Kamla, and maybe she would rethink their status quo, right? Now, the point here, Trinidad and Tobago, is that bottom line is after the 26 days have passed, and maybe government are changed or government are still in power, what is going to be the next step? When now at present we could have been identifying a proper, because you talk about crime just now, one of the reasons that Roger Alexander, because I had to get my Alexanders correct. Because we have Alexander this, Alexander that. So Roger Alexander, you understand, he quit his job, and I want Trinidad and Tobago to listen to the point that I'm going to make here. Now, he resigned his job, right? Chances are the United National Congress lose the election. What is going to happen to Roger Alexander?
Well, Imam, that deal was discussed, agreed upon, and signed.
Right. Now, that we just saying for argumental purposes on our program, Hard Facts, right? United National Congress lose the election. What next for Roger Alexander? What next for Philip Alexander? What next for MacLeod? What next for all these people, my friends? Are they going back now to attack the opposition leader vociferously and say, well, you know what? People didn't vote for you. They vote for us. But they didn't vote for Kamla because they didn't want Kamla to be the leader. Would you be saying those things? And this is why we have to discuss it now. Because, my friends, those of you...
Going to come up, you know.
Because, I'll tell you something. When we look at the political coalition for interests, in other words, what can they offer? What can they offer to the table? What can they bring forward? Because my co-host here said it right. For the past 9 years, they were towing the other party line. And because they see that, you know, there's some changes, there's some development when it comes to the United States of America and when it comes to the Dragon Gas deal, and they are assessing and they are trying to understand and put things together and say, well, here what, you know, chances are the PNM will lose the election. So here what, next best thing for us to do is to align ourselves with the government so that the next government, if that is their thoughts, and, you know, try to see how we can eat our food again.
But Imam, let us assume, regardless of the outcome of the general elections, regardless of who wins and who forms the new government. All right? Let us assume, Imam, that Philip Alexander does not win his seat. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Roger Alexander does not win his seat. What would be their fate? Let us assume the party that they belong to wins, but they lose their seat.
Right. I'll tell you something
You
now.
understand?
I'll tell you something. The Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa could go to do the next best thing, right? To keep them at bay is to bring them
As
in
senators.
as senators and give them position senator, minister. Senator the Honorable Kazim Hussein, who is the Minister of Agriculture. Senator this
National-
one,
yeah.
National Security, the
yeah.
senator, so and so. So the point I am going to make here for Trinidad and Tobago to really and truly understand. And then you know what? And you know something? People are going to come outside there and say EBC this and
No, no,
EBC
no, no,
that
no, 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 no.
and EBC this and EBC that. I want to tell you all something. We are living in a different type of cadastral. Our zone is this. You look at the 18 seats that voted for Kamala Prasad Bisesa in the past, they are of majority is of East Indian descent. When we look at the PNM and we look at the majority of individuals that votes for the PNM, Trinidad and Tobago, open your eyes. They vote for the PNM, it would have been identifiable that these people are of African descent. Right? So when you come across now and saying here what the EBC and the EBC and the EBC, what you have to understand is the PNM had a strategy and they did what they were supposed to be doing. It started in 1956 with the Honorable Dr. Eric Williams when he started, when people were coming from the islands, right? And he placed them in strategic zones in Port of Spain, which would have been economically for these people who are making migration from the islands to live in the area where the port would have been, where they would have generated funding to live and funding to send monies to their families via products and all these things. Now, Trinidad and Tobago, I want to let you all know this. That has not changed for the UNC, and that has not changed for the PNM.
It remained the same.
It remained the same.
And the voting pattern remained the same.
And now what we are seeing is that the United National Congress, right, the United National Congress, they have not contested any seats in Tobago. I think MacLeod could have gone there. I think Roger Alexander or Philip Alexander could have gone there. Or some individual could have gone there and made headway. But again, the outcome will really and truly, and when we talk here, I tell you something, when we talk on this program, you know something, we are as neutral as the word neutral could be. But people will take it from a different context and say that, you know, these fellas here, we don't get nothing from you all. We don't get nothing from you, whether you are in government or out of government. We are paying.
You have to put your likes and dislike one aside and just listen to the information and try to digest it. Because your likes or your dislikes for a political party or entity is going to cloud your vision of what is being said here.
Right. For example, now, let me just give you something. Campaigning in Shogunas West, right? People are saying, right, the voices on the ground floor is saying that Jolene John will get the nod for here. That is the voices on the ground. Could it be right? Could it be wrong? That is really and truly neither here, neither there for me. Because I tell you something, Shogunas West is United National Congress.
It's not going to go any other way.
It's not going to go anywhere.
So it doesn't make a difference.
So the 18 seat, whether you put a crapo with a balize or you put a crapo with a United National Congress
yellow
tie,
jersey, yes.
yellow jersey or whatever,
they
are going to win this. If I say I'm not voting, bad luck for me. Because I tell you something,
the result remains the
same.
same.
Shogunas West is going to go United National Congress. And 18 strategic areas is just like that. I would have thought, in my mind, because I was a vociferous and is, you know, being an individual who is really and truly open-minded. Open-minded in the sense that anything for people, anything for safety, people's safety in our country, anything to make the elders, the senior citizens in our country happy, whether it be health, whether it be CDAP, whether it be whatever. But I am saying this, and I'm saying this loud and clear. And I want it to be recorded in the minds of citizens of this country. Any government any government remove that draconian property tax. And the question begged to be asked is that they have said this. Colum Imbert said this, that approximately $172 million were collected. People would want to get their refund. And I would like to know if Kamla Persad-Bissessar is going to refund these people who already paid their property tax. So just saying that here what, we are going to abolish the property tax. Remember in 2010, we said we're going to axe the property tax and it still remained there. Are we going down the same road again? To Mamagai? We have to have concrete evidence, and that is the reason why those people who have political acumen in the true sense of the word should come forward and hold, whether it be the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, hold her and take her to task if that does not occur after the election is won, if that is the case may be.
Because let me just add to what the Imam just said. You would pay property tax for this year, and don't feel that is the only payment you have to make. Next year is another recurrent charge, and then they may increase it. Then the other year, every year you got to pay this tax. So somebody needs to come clean. Somebody needs to come clear where property tax is concerned. No more promises.
I hope the PNM and the Honorable Prime Minister and his advisors listening to this program.
They are listening, Imam.
I hope and pray that they understand that the momentum, right, and the pendulum really and truly swing on this borderline here, that this property tax, this draconian property tax, is a tax that should not have been implemented. It is a draconian, it is an evil tax, because that tax is really and truly like the government stealing from the population of the country.
Rather than giving.
No,
rather than giving, yeah.
It is banditry in the highest level, because you pay money and you pay taxes on it, and then you pay taxes, and then you pay taxes, and you pay taxes. About 5 or 6 strategic taxes were paid by the citizens of this country. When you look at VAT, when you look at NIS, when you look at Green Fund Levy,
PAYE,
and you look at all these taxes were paid as a compound amount of monies via the different channels. And my friends, on top of that, they are smiling and saying, here what? Property tax has to be paid, and deadline this and deadline that. I am telling you, I am going to tell you this again. Anybody really and truly honest, and say, here what? We are going, only that one point. Let me tell you something, only that one point.
Could bring home a government.
Only
yes,
that one point.
Could put a government, a party in parliament. Yes, correct. Well
and
said,
I
yeah.
hope and pray that the PNM is listening to what Imam Rashid Karim is saying on this program here, because it is a make and break election. You're going to get some divisions, yes. You're going to get some people who say nay, and you're going to get people who say yay. But I am telling you, one of the most heinous, right, the most heinous thing to be hovering over the mind of an elderly person. I tell you all, Trinidad and Tobago, and I want to reiterate, this one woman, and she got pneumonia, right? She paid down my hardware for building materials.
Galvanized
and purlin and beams, so she could cover her roof. And I tell you something, when this property tax and the deadline was set, she came back and she took her money and she went and she paid the taxes. Right now her house is leaking, and she went through one rainy season. She got pneumonia with the last rainy season.
Wetting and galvanized, flapping so.
Yes, so Trinidad and Tobago, I want to let you all know, any government in this country, right, people might say what, you could say what, I really don't care. My thing is that my country needs me, and the people of our country needs me, and I am saying this, and I am asking, I'm campaigning on this one thing. Forget the rest. We could drive with bad road. We could go in the hospital and lie down in the corridor. But you see those elderly citizens in our country, Trinidad and Tobago, when you go to vote there, remember that there are people who, they build their future. They build their homes. I know people right now, they will come down in the hardware and they will pay for 1 bag of cement. And they will pay for 25 blocks. And they will pay for 2.5 inch corrugated. And they will take the time and pay until they get enough money maybe to cast 1 room. That is the hardship. And that is the sacrifice that people in our country, while people breaking down new houses, people, I saw this in places, they break down a new
lavish mansion because they just didn't like how it looking and they want to be up to date, and they break down a $5 million building to put up another building for 20 million, while people on the ground floor, they cannot build a 12 by 12. They're still hanging sheet in front of their doors because they can't afford a $299 panel doors. I want the Prime Minister of my country to listen to see what is going on here. And you have to do something. You are the Prime Minister, the opposition leader. You are trying. Go right ahead. Take your bet. I don't have a problem with that. So don't come and say that, Imam Rashid. We know where Imam Rashid, we know his allegiance, and we know where he is now. You don't know where I am. I am for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I tell you something, any government dismantle and get rid of this property tax, they are going to get my vote and they are going to get my support as long as they maintain and they keep their word and their honor. You understand, Prem?
Imam, I fully agree with you. Let us take a break. We will return. So welcome back to our program, my friends, Hardfacts on Sentinel Media Live Broadcasting. We are here with you on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 12:15 p.m. It is a 1-hour program, and we are here with you to discuss what is really happening in our country, Trinidad and Tobago, and in our neighboring countries in the Caribbean as well. Now, my friends, coming to living in this country, Trinidad and Tobago, that was once a beautiful pride of the whole Caribbean. It was the hub. It was the mecca of all activities in the Caribbean, such as wealth, Imam, such as natural resources, such as a vacation resort, and people would come here and they would do trade with Trinidad, and so many things, good was going good for our country. Everybody's job was secured and that sort of thing. It has all gone through the window. We will get back to that. In our country, my friends, people are living from paycheck to paycheck. If you could barely make the month with that paycheck, how would you be able to pay a property tax? As the Imam keeps saying over and over again. I have a friend who is a school teacher, and he had to pay $3,200 property tax, and he told me he's a primary school teacher, and that was devastating for him and his family. They had to readjust the whole financial thing for the rest of the year, and he has 2 children going to school. Children cannot go to school because of the cost of living, because of security measures and that sort of thing. Each MP in this country, as the Imam we used to say before the Ramadan, if you can mobilize 500 people from your constituency, give it a try now. Give it a try now. Our business fraternity, they are reeling because of little or no sales, minimum profit on their sales, and high cost of living, no salary increases for our people. Both sides of the political offense, they are saying that, you know, they are making promises, and they are going to do this, and we are going to fight crime, we are going to do this and that. Tell us something, dear political leaders in the political platform. How are you going to raise money? How are you going to propel this economy to raise money, to fulfill those promises that you are making on the political platform, and to make your people happy and to keep your promises? Another thing, the EBC, the Elections and Boundaries Commission. We hear the opposition saying that, oh, they thief the election, and the people, you know, our people, you know, on the ground floor, EBC is a thief and this and that. Let me ask you something. Out of the 18 UNC seats, which one did the EBC thief and give it to the PNM? None. Out of the PNM strongholds, which one did the EBC thief and give it to the UNC? None. So stop that nonsense. The EBC doesn't thief anybody. The voting pattern is what counts in this country. Imam.
Yes. So again, I have a little grouse with the EBC. Huh? I have a little grouse with the EBC. I can't understand where they get their knowledge from, right? I cannot understand the visibility of how they divide, you know, a
constituency.
A certain constituency and a quadrant. Like for example, I tell you this. In my area, the street to the mosque, one side is a councillor by the name of Sundar Juku. One side of the street is the mayor of Shogunas. And I tell you something, my friends, you're going to realize that most of the time, one side of the road is cut properly. And when we ask the guys, hey, why are you not cutting the other side? They did not get directive to cut on that side because that belonged to a different cadastre.
The same road, you know?
Same road. And that is the very same thing happening in Caroni Savannah Road. The right-hand side is Charlieville, and the left-hand side is Felicity. So, my friends, again, there's some discrepancies when it comes to cutting up the borders and the perimeters and the constituencies. I can agree with that. But again, if the United National Congress and the opposition really and truly do their homework properly, you're going to understand that you already have 18 seats in bag. You already have 18 seats in bag.
Imam is 19, you know. You keep saying 18.
I tell you, already have 18 seats in bag. Now, for you to win this election, you have to gain 3 more seats. Right? You have to get 21 seats to win the election because we have 41 electoral constituencies in our country.
Correct.
You have to get 3 seats. Right? You look at the strategic locations of all the other seats, and you're going to find out for your own selves. Right? And I said it, and people might say that, you know, the imam discriminating against certain individuals. Now, we're talking about demerit. I tell you something, that demerit system is another draconian system, where for a seatbelt, you lose 4 points and you have to pay big money, okay? And 2 times, 3 times, you lose your driver's permit. I agree with Kamla on that. Right? I agree with Kamla when it comes to the property tax. I agree with certain prospective legislation that is going to be implemented. Okay, but the point of question here today is, right, do the doctor take their own medication, or the doctor only dispense and prescribe and take other people's medication? That's a question I want to ask, because we are talking about democracy. Do you all know what is the meaning of democracy? Try to Google it and find out, because I don't have enough time to really and truly dissect it and give you the verbal meaning of it. Democracy, right? We saw 5 candidates. Went up doing a democratic process in a party's election where the opposition leader never contests the election. And they will hate me, and they will try to shun me like a plague.
Her position was not up for grabs.
You could shun me like a plague. You could do what you want. Let me tell you something. There are right-thinking people outside here. And we would have think in our own minds, well, here what? Let bygones be bygones, right? And out of the 5 persons, maybe you could have chosen 2 people out of that 5 to show, well, here what? I have brought forward the olive branch. What have they done? What have they done? That's the question I want to ask. Oh God, Trinidad and Tobago. I want to ask that question. What Dinesh Rambali did? Did he drag mannequin? Did he abuse you? Did he curse you? Did Anita Haynes drag mannequin? Did Anita Haynes curse you and abuse you in platform? Did Rai Ragbe do the same thing? Did Rushtan Pare do the same thing? That is what I am vexed about. I was part of that, and you know something? We are branded. Imam Rashid Karim is branded as a dissident from the party because of my association with Dinesh Rambali.
Correct, Imam, yes.
I'm being real here. Because of that, people shun me like a plague in the party. The very sad people who embraced me when we were there for that the night of the night when he went up for nomination there. And I look at these people. I look at these big hypocrites.
Turning the face the other way.
They turn in and you know something? They wouldn't say assalamu alaikum, but now they want to visit every mosque. Assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum. How can you be a big hypocrite like that when your own people? You know how much licks I get for the United National Congress from certain individual? For 3 years, 4 years, I have been branded. I have been attacked on a certain program. Right? For 3 and 4 years, I have been attacked by that individual. Why? Because of my association with Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the United National Congress. And I never deviated. You know something? Because of my showing some sort of resemblance and semblance being part of a democratic process, I am shunned and I've been shunned. And how do you expect me to feel as an individual? How do you expect me to feel knowing for a fact that none of you came forward and say, well, here what Imam, you know, let bygones be bygones, because you are a very important activist in this country, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not blowing my own horn, because the amount of phone calls I just be getting, Imam, tell us where to vote, who to vote for, especially when it comes to Maruga Tableland, knowing for a fact that we remain there for 11 days, people are asking Imam what direction to take, Maruga Tableland, what to do in Maruga Tableland. You understand? I am just telling, let your heart direct you. Let your heart direct you, my friends, until I could find different avenues to really and truly let you all know what really and truly is the proposal for you when it comes to places like Maruga Tableland and places like La Hoqueta Talparo, and when it comes to places like Tunapuna.
Imam, from what you are saying, Maruga Tableland is in limbo.
Yeah,
yes,
I tell you something. The same advisors that is advising Kamala Prasad Bisesa today and saying, boss, we're going to win. We're going to get 50% more voters. And we're going to, yes, PNM, they made a blunder. Yes, Dr. Keith Rowley, he made a mess when it comes to representation. We know all that. But I tell you something, when people go in that ballot box, when they go, they will say, here what, we're going to vote the United National Congress. And knowing for a fact that when they go into the privacy of that ballot box, you know, it is something in my veins. I will die. I saw this, you know, one individual, her mom was crushed under a landslip, right? And you know what she said? I am going to vote for my party. I don't want to call her name. I'm not going to vote. I'm going to vote for my party. You say what you want. Imagine that in life and death, people are going to vote for their tribalistic way of voting in this country. The very said voters in the United National Congress, the very said voters in the PNM, they are going to vote. People have to understand what is the difference in 2025, what was the difference in 2020, what was the difference in 2015, and people are not seeing that except that the PNM had made a lot of blunder and they had put the country at a state where citizens were really and truly the ones who holding up our country. And namely, the business community in Trinidad and Tobago. Because where's the revenue coming from? The revenue that this government, this PNM government has implemented, basically would have been taxation and taxation and taxation and more taxation. And people saw that.
Well, Imam, that is the question I asked. For both political parties vying for supremacy in this general election, how are you going to raise money? What are you going to use to propel the economy to raise money to fulfill your electoral promises and to run the country on an everyday basis? How?
Because I don't want, when I go and I vote there, and we vote for a certain party, and they come in government, and 6 months later, they come out and they start reading their budgets and so forth, and you know, we are in a state of deficit, and we can't do this and we can't do that, because PNM, right? PNM, they use the United National Congress as an excuse for many, many years. And people took it hook, line, and sinker. And will that be the very said mantra that PNM left us in a devastated state? And you know something, we can't do anything to change right now, and we're waiting for this, and we wait. Hey, people, Trinidad and Tobago, I tell you something. If you all don't understand your position this time around, we need to hold the leaders to task. They cannot be eating everything that is good, and we catching we skin eating boiled yam and sweet potato and gizzard while they're eating lamb leg and all these things. We have to be very, very mindful of that. We want a piece of the cake too. Everybody wants to live happy. Everybody wants to go for a holiday. Everybody wants to know that they are safe in their homes. Roger Alexander, Philip Alexander, whoever there is that can make a dent in our country to bring betterment for our citizens.
We welcome that.
We welcome that.
Now, my friends, you know, we just receiving some signal there from our director. You know, we have 2 minutes again. So, you know, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Young, Stuart Young, announced to the nation that yes, foreign observers are coming for the elections.
Right.
Right? So the mere idea of losing and blaming the EBC, throw that out of the window. We fed up with that nonsense. Observers are coming here, Caribbean observers and international observers, they would be here. So when you lose or when you win, that is the end result, that is the bottom line.
Right, you brought up a very nice point before we close. And director, let's pull that video there where Asja have made that claim. I want you all, Asja has distanced herself from Imam's criticism of Stuart Young and Kamla. Now tell us something. People of Trinidad and Tobago, come back to me, director, and you could bring it back and flash it in between, right? Now I tell us something. I did the most honorable thing, and I call the individual Imam Ali. I call the Imam Ali, and you know the Imam Ali mentioned to me the reason why he said those things. Now I tell us something. Trinidad and Tobago is a different place when it comes to the social communication when we deal with each other, right? Now tell us something. Stuart Young, who is the Prime Minister of the country, right? He went out there and he was given something called Sadaqah, which is charity. And he was given the charity. And I tell us something. He made some remarks, or people, they are just, or whatever they did. IA again, artificial intelligence. Like what we saw Kamla and Philip Alexander having a smooch. We saw all that. AI. Artificial. So we see all those things. But what I'm saying here, right? Normally, Trinidad way of dealing with things. You go somewhere, you know, you're buying something. I hope you give me the extras, eh? You give me the lie-up. Give me a lie-up, right? That's a normal thing. Anywhere you go, you have Prem coming in the hardware. Hey, Imam, give me a discount, boy. You're giving him it free, you know. I'm giving him it free. But he asking, he asking, where is the discount?
Give me it free and give me some money behind it.
And I gave him it free, but he asking for the discount. But the point I'm making here is that Stuart Young, right, who has Islamic background,
yes,
went to the mosque and he gave his $20 or $50 charity, as you can see. And he was smiling and laughing and saying, I hope you vote for me.
And that is a joke, Imam. You know, that is,
you can't take that and say, hey, Stuart Young going to buy votes. That's ridiculous. That is little infants, that primary school thing. Hey, I would never allow myself to stoop that low.
To say that, have some respect for the office the Stuart Young hold, which is the Prime Minister office. Imam, anybody, you know, who can afford it will give a little money to the needy and the poor in the mandir or in the masjid. Anybody does that, so that's a non-issue.
Yeah, that's just a normal way, a way that people interact in this country. If you don't understand that, then you are not Trinidadian.
That is our culture.
You're not Trinbagonian. You give somebody something, hey, I hope you vote for me.
Yeah.
You give them a coconut or a gift for something.
And you don't have to put a smile in people's face, eh?
Yeah, that's picong. You call that picong, right? You don't take that and put that on a platform and say, well, Stuart Young buying votes and he bribing people. $20 bribe? $20, all they're talking about bribe. All it should be shame to even put that on a platform. Another thing I see popping up here, when I spoke to Mr. Ali, the normal thing, right, whether you like it or not, a mahram and a gair mahram, that is people who marriage is permissible upon and people who marriage is prohibited upon. You're not supposed, because I remember, Ade Kamla Prasad Bisasa put out her hand, right? She put out her hand right? In one of these the Congress somewhere down there. I was part of her slate, right? And she put out her hand. What do I tell her? Don't shake my hand. At that point in time, I was fresh, I was new, and she didn't understand. Well, here what? You're not supposed to be shaking a man's hand, right? What to do? And you know something? The amount of bashing I get for that from the very said individual I talk about week after week. Look at him, and they quote in hadith, and the punishment for that is like, you know, steel rods being penetrated in your hands. In hell and a whole sort of thing. Now, Stuart Young again, right? Now, who advised Stuart Young? Who was the advisor to Stuart Young? Right? This is why, you know, when Prime Minister or any dignitaries going out in any kind of religious mission, they should have a person who would advise them. Right? They have to have somebody who could advise them. Well, here what? In the Islamic community, you don't shake hand with women. Yeah. You could shake hand with boys and ladies and underage girls. No problem. This is where the advice supposed to be coming from. And I don't have a problem advising Kamla Prasad Bisesa or Stuart Young or, as a matter of fact, anybody when it comes to that, because I was there and I felt the brunt of it, knowing as an imam that we're not supposed to do that. But because, my friends, because I didn't want to create any stir
and let the individual extend and feel bad.
And that's it. That's it. That's basically it. I didn't want to break the heart of an individual to have something. Hey, look, the imam, I put out my hand there, and the imam didn't shake my hand. So people are asking, like another one asking, Muslim not supposed to take out pictures. Hey, I tell you something. You know, they don't understand Muslims not supposed to commit fornication and adultery.
So how are you going to walk
right? Gaza, boy? You understand? They're not supposed to be doing all these things. You know, there are people in our country who find it convenient only for themselves at a certain point in time to really and truly regurgitate Islamic laws and fatwas. Right? Stuart Young, who was your advisor? Who did tell you, did they tell you not to do that? Oh, next thing again, we've seen here a conflict of interest. The individual is a high profile Ashra Imam, right, who holds a high profile in the Ashra. He's stating that, and that communication was not supposed to reach the ear of any outsiders. That should have been an internal matter to discuss, so that later on maybe the Prime Minister or anybody else could have that knowledge. Well, here what? You know, as a man,
it is prohibited.
Yeah, it is prohibited. You understand? But they didn't do that. And then again, when I talked to the Imam, I spoke to the Imam. This is not a joke thing. I called the Imam and I spoke to the Imam, and the Imam said he never said don't vote for Stuart Young or don't vote for Kamla. Pull back the headline there. Right? He never said that. He never criticized Stuart Young or Kamla. He mentioned it in a manner of giving advice, but people take it in the wrong context. They take it in the wrong context, and I told him this. I said that you have your freedom of expression where you can take the individuals who defame you to task. Look, we are in this program here. You hear me abusing and cursing, using obscene language and using adjectives like, you know, donkey and any dogmatic statement. I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that. I understand that here what? This country need, you know, promotion for country building, not destroying. So again, my friends, as we close our program here today, those of you who are really and truly understanding the political scenario in our country, you have to understand clearly, look at the track record and look at the cadastrals and look at the constituencies, and there's where you're going to get the votes. You're going to get the results of the election when you look at the cadastrals. Because you're looking at swing voters, nothing wrong, but do things that could convince the people, right? Why it is that we hardly seen the United National Congress doing any, you know, campaigning in the areas that really and truly most importantly is a requirement to win this election. Why are we going down in Oropuch? Huh? Who are you trying to mama guy? You go in Oropuch and you have 1,000 people. Go in La Hoqueta, go down in Port of Spain East and get your 1,000 people. That is how you're going to know exactly that we are transforming. We are transforming this country.
We are wooing voters.
Yeah. So we're going to continue this discussion from now until election. So those of you who are watching our program, you can feel free to call us 372-2129. I don't think the line was working today. I don't think, because I didn't receive any call today. So those of you who would like to call us, 372-2129, write down the number, message us, and we're going to take your message. We're going to read your message, whether it's good, bad, or the ugly, whether it is for Kamala or against Kamala, whether it's for Stuart Young or against Stuart Young, we are going to read it out on this program, because I tell you something, I have no cocoa in the sun.
To look
right?
out for it.
Again, Trinidad and Tobago, we love you all very much. Again, we stayed away from our program due to the month of Ramadan, and we thank you all for your kind support, and we ask you all to continue. Share this video and let people know, hear what, you all have a voice, because today's program, we did not encroach in any one of the political entities except by telling them the truth.
So, my friends, a caller from Whiteland called and said to me on my cell phone that, Prem, you're dressed like a Catholic priest today. My friends, thanks for the nice words, but this is the Imam jacket. I did not bring a jacket today, and what you are seeing here is my jersey inside. So that's about it. So as we come to the end of the program, we want to wish our country, Imam, a safe week ahead. Until we meet again on Saturday, 12:15 p.m., we will be with you once again.
Okay, so Trinidad and Tobago, those of you who are maybe a quarrel with our program, or you'd like to join us on Saturday's program, anybody outside there, whether it is a candidate for an electoral district, constituency, and you would like to come here and join, because I'll tell you something, don't feel that this program is reaching places. We will show you the statistics next week on our program about how many people are following us and how many people we are reaching on a daily basis, locally, internationally. Because I'll tell you something, we have people in Florida, we have people in different parts of the world, and they know people who know people who know people who could influence people, right? So don't get tired.
They were even calling for the program during the month of
Yeah,
Ramadan.
don't get tired. So Trinidad and Tobago, thank you all very much. May God Almighty bless you all. May God Almighty bless our leaders, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisasa, the Honorable Stuart Young. May God Almighty bless you all, and let us have a clean fight going down to the final analysis where victory will be proclaimed.